the Royal Commission and listen to see what was going on in Australia? I mean, it is your branch office.
Yes, I'm sure that the Australian branch is well aware of what's going on.
Well, how come you're the world headquarters and don't know what's going on in the branch?
I'm not saying that no one knows. I'm just saying I don't see how anyone that can help you. They are aware of the situation. Thank you for calling.
Well, what do you think of it? Do you think it went well?
I'm sorry, I'm working on the switchboard and I don't really have time to speak with you. I hope that you have a good day.
Good morning, YouTube. Just wanted to talk to you a little bit about what really the Royal Commission is all about, what it is, and what it does. Just how much power and how much influence does this Australian Royal Commission have? Does it affect any other country? Will it make any difference after this is all over? So I wanted you to take a look at this. This is a national news article on news.com.au. In here you can see that, in short, what the Royal Commission actually is a formal independent public inquiry instigated by a state government or a federal government. Royal Commissions are typically called whenever there is ongoing impropriety, illegal activity, or gross administrative incompetence in any area of Australian life. Alright, so this one is into institutional responses to child sexual abuse. There are different kinds of Royal Commissions. There are banking Royal Commissions. There are Royal Commissions into almost every major activity that institutions have. So this talks about a different type of Royal Commission, I believe, that was done on the police force, a police force in the Australian jurisdiction. But it also touches on, of course, the Australian Royal Commission that is currently going on. So why are we having it? Because, as Detective Chief Inspector Peter Fox has revealed in shocking detail, there is overwhelming evidence of ongoing sexual abuse and alleged systemic cover-ups by members of institutions like the Catholic Church. A Royal Commission will test these allegations and seek to put the wheels of justice in motion. So here now we're talking about justice and putting the wheels of justice in motion. How long do Royal Commissions last, and how long will this one last? We don't really know. Now, the Australian Royal Commission that's currently going on has stated that they will give their recommendations, their final recommendations, in December of this year, 2017. But it could be that that Royal Commission could go on further. They usually last at least a year and sometimes several years. For example, the Royal Commission into the building and constructing industry ran from August 2001 to February 2004. There have been calls today for a deadline on the Child Abuse Royal Commission amid fears it could drag on out for a decade. So that's where we're at here. It could very well be that this Australian Royal Commission could drag out for an entire decade. Why do I say that? Because we have at least one institution that refuses It absolutely goes out of its way to refuse to comply, to cooperate, to even face the Australian Royal Commission and what is at hand. It continues to pretend like it doesn't exist. It does not tell any of its members of the upcoming changes. It leaves people clueless. And you know who I'm talking about, don't you? The Watchtower Bible and Tract Society, JW.org, Jehovah's Witnesses. So let's go a little further here. Who will be the Royal Commissioner? Well, at the time of this writing, they didn't know. But we know now, don't we? It is Judge McClellan. He is one of the judges. However, it is usually a retired judge. Okay, so there's that. Now, here's a bit of info. When was the last Royal Commission? About 4 years ago, and there have been 129 Royal Commissions. This one will be the 130th. So there's a lot of Royal Commissions going on, and it looks like this is something that does not just affect Australia. What's actually royal about it? Well, nothing actually, but the Australian Law Reform Commission recently said that the term royal should continue to be used for reasons of status and perceptions and independence. You see, the Australian Royal Commission is a separate governmental entity from the government of Australia. Think about that one. It has its own independent status and power. In fact, once these royal commissions start, they cannot be stopped. The government cannot stop it. Well, it can, but it's very, very, very difficult. I will say that. So, what can a royal commission actually achieve? Here we go. What can it achieve? A lot of people want to know about that. So let's talk about it. Plenty. Royal commissions are not just passive hearings. Because their very nature is investigative, the commissioner has the power to summon witnesses under oath, seize evidence, like the pedophile list, the Jehovah's Witness pedophile list, offer indemnities to people who cooperate, and so forth. It is basically a government-sanctioned process with every conceivable legal power designed to weed out the truth and track down the bad guys so that they can be held to account. Let's go further down here. Could people be prosecuted? Absolutely yes. Now, here's an example. The 1995 Wood Royal Commission into the NSW Police Service. This is the New South Wales in Australia Police Service, is in some ways regarded as a failure because so many people named in it still walked free. But 7 officers received jail terms as a result of it, and much more importantly, here's where we're going to go. Here's where I'm trying to get you to see something. Much more importantly, public perception changed, and the police force had to change with it. They did not have a choice. Now, why did the public perception change? Because it was live broadcast. Because of social media. Because people shared and informed each other. And it just spread like wildfire. So even though many people walked and thought they had won the battle, they lost the proverbial war because public perception changed about that institution. And they had to change with it. They had no choice. So think about that in terms of Jehovah's Witnesses. Will this Royal Commission go over the $10 million budget? Almost certainly. So here we're talking about cost, and there's a lot of money in these royal commissions. Will every victim get a chance to have a say? Some, but not all. Otherwise, it would go on forever. I agree with that because there are a lot of victims. There are a lot of victims. And there are still a lot more to come out that haven't come out yet. Anyway, many of them won't want to. But many of the accused will obviously have to face the Royal Commission whether they like it or not. So I just wanted to have you take a look at that. This is on the article here is from November 13th, 2012. This was before the Royal Commission. I think this was right around the time they announced that there would be one. So this was some time back in 2012. However, it is still newsworthy. It is still something that you might want to take a look at and share with everyone. If you're a Jehovah's Witness or if you're an ex-Jehovah's Witness, I would advise you to consider calling a lawyer right about now. Even if you aren't a victim or a survivor of child sexual abuse, if you are an ex-Jehovah's Witness and you knew of any suspicious activity, or you heard rumors or gossip about children being molested, or perhaps you know of verifiable cases where someone was molested, perhaps you was molested and you just never spoke out. Now is the time to call a lawyer and ask that lawyer what your worst case scenario could be, because there is an internal list the Watchtower has, and attorneys all over the world are going after Watchtower's list. They're going hard after it. That list not only contains the names of alleged sexual child molesters and pedophiles and abusers, but it also contains their names, their families' names, their wives' names, their children's names, the other elders' names in the congregation, every member in the congregation, and it includes detailed information about who knew, who might have known, who spoke about it. You get where I'm saying what I'm saying here? If that list comes out, and it will eventually, it's gonna come out. It's gonna come out. It's too many hounds after it now. We've got the Aaron Brockovich law firm doing national TV ads. It's coming out. And when it does, you're gonna want to be on the safe side. You're gonna want to have covered yourself, because if you're sitting there depending on JW.org or Watchtower or the governing body or the organization, if you're sitting there depending on them thinking that they're going to help you in a time of trouble and need, you better think again, because they've been throwing the brothers and sisters under the bus, saying we don't have anything to do with these people. That was their choice, even though they've commanded you to obey the two-witness rule. So just a courtesy heads up to you. You might want to call a lawyer. This goes for both JWs and XJWs who have information or who are privy to information or who may have heard about some kind of information of child abuse or sexual abuse. You might want to go ahead and call a lawyer right about now and see about going to the police with your info, because you could very well end up in some criminal legal trouble for aiding and abetting, enabling child abuse, depending on the laws in your state. But here's where it gets real interesting, you see. Here's where it gets real interesting. Take a look at this. The state of New York is wanting to do away with the statute of limitation Child Victims Act. Okay, this is recent news here. Stepping up for the plate for child sex abuse survivors. Governor Cuomo weighed in Wednesday for the first time with his own plan to help victims seek legal recourse as adults. Basically, what they're wanting to do is to open up for a whole year so that the whole country, other people in other states can sue in the state of New York. They can come sue the Watchtower in the state of New York because the Watchtower headquarters are located in the state of New York. And guess where the two witness rule was born? Ding, 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 ding. New York. You get what's going on? You get why I'm telling you? You might want to call a lawyer right about now. If you're a Jehovah's Witness elder, ministerial servant, especially if you're a Jehovah's Witness male, I think you might want to go ahead and call a lawyer right about now if you haven't already, and ask them what the worst case scenario could be if you were to be busted for enabling child sexual abuse. Ladies, Jehovah's Witness sisters, you wives, you elders' wives, you know what's going on. You know the gossip before anybody does. Do you think that you're going to not be held accountable? Do you think that you're going to, be able to say that you didn't know when you did? I mean, they keep records on you. And if you're an elder there sitting there thinking, well, they told us to destroy the records. There's no records. We destroyed them all. Yeah, you might have destroyed the records at your Kingdom Hall. But Watchtower doesn't destroy any records. They keep files and information forever on you, your family, your whole congregation, the people that you go out from door to door with, that you talk to at the door. They keep records on everything. So while you might think that your congregation is in the clear as far as this is concerned, you might want to think again, because mamajw.org has everything on you. So, this is the New York Daily News here, okay? Cuomo unveiled his plan in a book outlining his 2017 policy agenda. Child victims are one of the most vulnerable populations of this state. Outdated laws of New York do not adequately address the needs of these young victims. So,
honey, I want you to look at this right here, bro. You see that? This is the Australian Royal Commission right here, the kangaroo. And this is Jehovah Monster. And as you can see, honey, Jehovah Monster is going through some things right about now. And the Australian Royal Commission has got Jehovah Monster on the ground, boo. He is TKO, honey. Look at Jehovah Monster. They gotta get the Australian Royal Commission prime off of Jehovah Monster. Look at that. Look at JW.org. Jeffrey Jackson and the governing body. Stephanie, he ain't letting go of Stephanie's head, bro. Beelzebub, the third turn, you looking at this?
alright. Okay, YouTube, I wanted to show you some more stuff here. And by the way, if you're a Jehovah's Witness and you're sitting there watching and you're saying to yourself, oh, this is nothing to worry about, this is just another thing that I can ignore and pretend it doesn't exist, I've got news for you. It's not going to go away. In fact, I surmise it's going to get worse. And burying your head in the sand might end up being one of the worst decisions that you made. So, I think this video is for not just ex-Jehovah's Witnesses and victims and survivors, but this video is for all of Jehovah's Witnesses, especially if you're an elder, especially if you're a sister who is married to an elder or a circuit overseer or a man that has position and authority. However, this video is for any Jehovah's Witness who has any knowledge of any allegations of child abuse or sexual abuse. Okay. We have a man named Stephen Unthank, Royal Commission. We have this keyword phrase. I encourage you to Google this keyword phrase. Now, why did I have Stephen Unthank, this individual here? Take a look at this. I started Googling and researching a little bit more about the Australian Royal Commission because a lot of people have watched the proceedings, but they're not really sure what this is all about. They know that Watchtower is being exposed for sure, and there's shocking info, and it's really disgusting how they refuse to even budge on the two-witness rule and so many other things. However, this has been in the making. The Australian Royal Commission didn't just pop out randomly and say, hey, we're going to check out the Jehovah's Witnesses. No, this has been in the making for a long time. Since how long? Take a look at that. You see that? Now, who is this Stephen Unthank? This individual, in my opinion, is brilliant. And in my opinion, he is one of the crucial people that pretty much started up the Royal Commission. And you know, I'm being a little bit more you know, I'm probably exaggerating it, but I'm sure this individual has had a strong hand in it. Okay, so this is an article here, David Shoebridge, but I'm going to hit Control F and go right to the information on Stephen Unthank. This was posted September 1st, 2012, 9:52 a.m. Now remember, the Australian Royal Commission didn't actually start till 2013. So, here's what we have. The Honorable David Shoebridge, thank you for weighing in on the current problems the community faces in relation to child abuse and the systemic cover-up of child abuse within religious organizations in Australia. You are right in pushing for a royal commission into the handling of child abuse within religions. It is high time that church leaders recognize the seriousness of covering up child abuse. On July 26 to 11, the entire religious and corporate hierarchy of the Church of Jehovah's Witnesses and their administrative arm, the Watchtower Bible and Tract Society of Australia, both based in NSW, New South Wales, were criminally charged in the Magistrates Court of Victoria with serious breaches of mandatory child protection laws as legislated in the Working with Children Act 2005. Now, I don't have time to show you the details on that particular thing here, but Stephen Unthank wrote the legal documents to move that forward. He was acting prosecutor. Yes, but check this out. After a criminal hearing lasting from July 2011 to February 2012, the church was left with no alternative but to comply with mandatory child protection laws. Whoa. So this has been in the making for a long time, and there's a lot more here. He says, only a royal commission with the power to force witnesses to give evidence, to compel the production of internal church documents, and to issue a public report and recommendations can address the needs of the victims and families who have suffered from child sexual abuse. Currently, I am preparing a large written and verbal submission for the Victorian inquiry into the handling of child abuse by religious organizations in relation to the Jehovah's Witnesses. This, in addition to verbal submission I gave last year at the Protecting Victoria's Vulnerable Children inquiry. A large part of the submission I'm currently working on relates to activities of the church that has taken place in NSW and how the headquarters of the church in New South Wales is used to cover up child abuse in all states and territories in Australia. Based on my experience, a royal commission is the best way to proceed. I wish you all the best in pursuing this for the sake of our children. Regards, Stephen Unthank. Now, who do you think had a big step, a big hand in what's going on right now? I want you to take a look at something else, though. Let's go back to Google. And you Google this word. This man right here is a carpenter. He is not an attorney. I thought he was an attorney. He is not an attorney. Well, I correct myself. He may be an attorney now. But this was back in 2011, 2012. And this is a forum here. You can click some of the other ones and you'll see court documents. You'll see court documents that he created. But I want you to take a look at this forum discussion here. This was back in 2011, and this was someone making fun. This person here, Diogenes, August 2nd, 2011, out of Dallas, Texas. He says, "This is hilarious. Apparently, Mr. Unthank thinks of himself as a big shot acting prosecutor. The Watchtower attorneys must be quaking in their boots. I mean, they have tried cases in front of the Supreme Court. But the carpenter, now acting prosecutor, not only knows how to prosecute, he also knows how to use a plumb bob and a framing square." So, you've got people laughing at this back in 2011. But I don't think that person's laughing now. It took some time. It takes years. But we've got some tenacious people. Now, as you can see, you have the links here where you can look up the news and you can look up a little bit more about what he was doing way back then. Okay? But the more you scroll down, you are starting to see criminal charges are now being progressed by the Department of Public Prosecution. You are starting to see how this is progressing. The case is becoming ever more intriguing. I doubt that the Watchtower Society expected it to even go this far. By September of that year, they're already seeing that this Stephen Unthank is not just a carpenter. I would like to say, Mr. Stephen Unthank, thank you so much for all your hard work. So, you got this guy. Who can argue with this? Anyway, at the bottom end of it, it says right here, Victoria, Australia, all 5 cases made it through the court. Nothing was thrown out. So, you can follow this along and you can see how far he got with this. But as you can see here, there are many cases where Mr. Stephen Unthank was acting prosecutor. Now, at the time, he was not an attorney. He was just a very brilliant man. And he was not backing down. And he was not letting it go. Matter of fact, I suspect he's still working on this to this day. But Google him, check him out, because he is one of the key people for what we've got going on today with the Australian Royal Commission. And I wanted to show you this because a lot of people are thinking that thing that we all think. It's just, I'm just one person. What can I do? I don't have the education. I'm not a big shot lawyer. I don't know how to do any of this. Well, Mr. Stephen Unthank was a carpenter. He might be an attorney now. I wouldn't be surprised. It's been some years. However, if you check this one out, jwsurvivors.wordpress.com, you will see one of his websites here, and you'll see some more information. I believe he's the guy between jwleaks.org, leaking all these files and leaking all these internal documents. So go ahead and check this out. It's pretty interesting. It's pretty wild. And you're going to have a lot of things that you can read here into the Victorian inquiry. So he was back in the day, he started a Victorian inquiry, and it went all the way to the whole Australian country. And I think we need to do that for the US. I think we need to do it for the countries in Europe. We need to spread this. We need to really show awareness. But this goes way, way back. The Australian Royal Commission. This is the work that was started. This was the foundation that was laid back in 2012, 2011, and probably way earlier than that. So take a look at that. One more thing I want to show you about Stephen Unthank. $3 billion class action lawsuit on behalf of Jehovah's Witnesses children. This is the same man. $3 billion class action lawsuit is being launched in Australia on behalf of up to 6,160 children within the Church of Jehovah's Witnesses. This is back in 2012. This was about a month or two after the Australian Royal Commission was announced that they have formed one. But it didn't officially start until a year later in 2013. So after the announcement in September by the Prime Minister of Australia, this was released here. A $3 billion class action lawsuit. Over 6,000 children. The documents relating to the class action reveal over 14,000 serious criminal breaches of mandatory protection laws. 14,000. What kind of Jehovah is this? They committed against these children by elders and ministers of religion within the Church of Jehovah's Witnesses over the past 4 years. So this is just 4 years of stuff. They've been keeping lists of pedophiles since the 1950s. Can you imagine how many kids? The Victorian government inquiry into the handling of child abuse by religions and other organizations is currently investigating the allegations and is expected to hold a public hearing in relation to this in early 2013. So this man has really, 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 really been doing some things. And like I said, he's a carpenter. He's not an attorney. Well, like back then he was a carpenter. He was a Jehovah's Witness carpenter. You know, Jehovah's Witnesses, carpenters, janitors, window washers, no education, no college, no university. But yet, you've got the internet. You've got your hands, you've got your brain, and that's what this man did. He used his hands, he used his brains, he read up on things, and he had passion behind it. So, on May 12, 2012, the governing body of Jehovah's Witnesses and the Church of Jehovah's Witnesses became aware that a potential class action lawsuit was being pursued in relation to their failure to comply with the working laws with children. So they held an annual meeting on October 6th of that year in New Jersey. And during the discourse, "When does Jesus appoint a slave over all his belongings?" it was publicly announced that the worldwide Church of Jehovah's Witnesses has just undergone a major restructuring of doctrinal teachings and asset ownership The net result being that the church now claims it no longer has billions of dollars in assets or belongings, but is from a legal position an unincorporated association with no assets whatsoever. So here's what I want to tell you. I want you to go look up Randy M on YouTube. I think this is how we're going to do it. Randy M on YouTube. And he has a video right here. How victims can beat Watchtower at their own game. Okay? He talks about what Watchtower uses is an alter ego defense. Okay? Check this guy out on YouTube. I have a mirror on my channel as well. This one right here. But this is his original. It's Randy M. How victims can beat Watchtower at their own game. And what Watchtower does is the same exact thing here. It says, we don't have any money. So what it does, it splits the money into different branches or corporations. And it says, well, this is an alter ego, and we don't have any money in this alter ego. It's called the infamous Watchtower alter ego defense. So check that out. Send that to your lawyer. If you're calling a lawyer, send that to your lawyer. Whether you're an ex-Jehovah Witness or a JW, I encourage you to send this information to your lawyer, okay? Because Watchtower and JW.org are not going to show you this. They're not interested in helping you stay out of trouble. But I'm interested in helping kids, in getting that list out. And I'm also interested in helping some Jehovah's Witnesses that are watching consider that perhaps if you went to the police and you covered your own hide, that maybe things wouldn't turn out as bad for you if you went ahead and did the right thing now while you have a chance, before it's too late. You know, I don't mind seeing a JW not going to jail because they went ahead and went to the police and told them about what they know about child abuse in their congregation. I don't have a problem with that. So, you know, there's something to think about there. But the alter ego defense, that's a common thing that Watchtower will do with lawsuits. So there's a piece of info you can hand on to your attorney that you can study yourself. And I encourage anyone to study the past cases. Secrets of Pedophilia in an American Religion by Barbara Anderson of watchtowerdocuments.org. watchtowerdocuments.org. I'm going to go ahead and let's see, watchtowerdocuments.org. And you can go on to her website, and she has all kinds of documents that you can download of previous legal proceedings against the Watchtower, what happened, what they did, and you can download all of these, and you and your attorney or your researchers can look through all of this stuff. And she is also a media contact. She's been on, I believe, on CNBC, 60 Minutes, 20 Minutes. Major news media have covered her many, many times. She's been in the news talking about this stuff and sharing about this stuff. So here you go. You've got all of these child abuse cases. I think she's got even free files here. You've got court documents, trial documents, and she is rich in resources here. So this is another person that your attorney might want to look at. A lot of these cases are being helped and are being won because of the ex-Jehovah Witness community. The ex-Jehovah's Witness community. What we're doing, our blogs and our websites and our YouTube videos, our Facebook shares and posts, they are helping victims and survivors to win against the Watchtower. It is ordinary folks, and I would like to just now say we're not ordinary anymore. We're not ordinary anymore. So Another interesting point is that if you're looking at suing the Watchtower, there's about 4 or 5 nukes that you can use, that you can run across, run by your attorney. Number one is to request the the internal Watchtower pedophile database and other Watchtower documents. As you can see, Watchtower will refuse. So that may be an angle for you to get an easy settlement or an easy win in court. Watchtower, by the way, I've been told is deathly afraid of having a trial by jury. So they really want to settle bad. They don't want to go to jury trial. They are deathly afraid of it because usually it ends up in having documents released that they don't want. Damning documents. Okay. All right, let's see. What else was I going to show you? I showed you about the $3 billion lawsuit. Okay, and go ahead and Google this Google this keyword phrase here, $3 billion lawsuit Jehovah. And take your time to look at some things here because there's so much information that we need to get to the attorneys all over the world. And by the way, I believe this is called Kelso Law. There is a law office. Let's see, I think this is in Australia. There is a law office that has the Australian Royal Commission blog. It has a blog. When you Google the keyword Australian Royal Commission, you're going to see dozens and dozens and dozens of law firms and their ads going up. It is a very, very lucrative keyword. Australian Royal Commission is a very, very lucrative keyword for many, many law firms. But as you can see here, Kelso Lawyers, they actually have a Royal Commission into Child Sexual Abuse news blog on their website. If you take a look at this here, check this out. They've got case studies, they've got resources, guide to compensation, guide to given evidence, Royal Commission's live stream, yeah, Royal Commission Facebook page, yeah, and this is just one law office or law group that does this. Like I said, if you use that keyword phrase and check out the attorney's ads, you'll see a lot of them. What they're starting to do is to have specific blogs for just the Australian Royal Commission. So, still think it is nothing? You still think it's worthless? You still think it's not going to do anything and it's a waste of time? Well, think again. And if you're screaming persecution, get over it. This Australian Royal Commission is going after everyone, including the Australian government itself. So don't think you're special. You know, narcissists always have a persecution complex. So, yeah, I think that about wraps that up. But if you're a Jehovah's Witness watching, I would say you might want to call a lawyer right about now. And, don't depend on MamaJW.org to clue you in as to what's going on, because they're not interested in your welfare. They're only interested in one thing, in their own welfare. And they couldn't care less if you went to prison, to jail, or if you rotted in hell because of following their directions. They couldn't care less. So, it's up to you what you want to do. You can ignore this at your own peril. We're just going to sit back and eat our popcorn and watch this train wreck. It's a horrible train wreck, I'm telling you. Did you see the proceedings? It's like watching a train wreck, a terrible, terrible train wreck. So, yeah, we've got this one covered. Let's see, did we cover this one? Watchtower facing criminal charges in Victoria. Oh yeah, wanted to show you this. This Stephen Unthank. Here we go. The Watchtower Society is facing another major court case. This was of the same year, 2012. That will be necessary to resolve a $3 billion class action lawsuit. It may be the most serious battle they've waged in decades because they are actually facing serious criminal charges in a trial court in the state of Victoria, Australia. Now, I don't know if you have watched the Australian Royal Commission's proceedings, but Judge McClellan and Senior Counsel Angus Stewart both...
Honey, boo, do you see this, honey? Look at this. This is Australian Royal Commission kangaroo, honey, and it is kicking some butt. It is kicking Jehovah. Ooh, ow, ooh, ow, honey, child, ooh. That looks painful, honey. Look, oh, it's going back after the Catholic Church next, honey. Look at that Australian Royal Commission. It's not taking no smack, honey. Bam. Take that, you Catholic Church, honey. Now back to the Jehovah Witness. Look at that. Oh my goodness, honey. Them Australian Royal Commissions, they are getting Jehovah, honey. They are getting JW.org. And governing body. Boom, honey. Look at that. Honey. I told you, honey, you don't want them kangaroos after you, honey. Been hurting all them kids. Hiding all that stuff and telling people to destroy files. Sending body of elder letters telling your congregants to destroy any files with allegations, honey. That's why you're knocked out now, honey. Look at that. TKO, honey. Jehovah Witnesses have to be drug off the stage, honey. He's going after the Catholics next, honey. Look at that. Look at that. The Pope don't like that. Australian Royal Commission said you better give them victims some restitution. I'll knock you out. Yup, you don't want no kangaroo after you, honey boo. Them kangaroos will tear you apart, honey.
Both stated that they have turned in 514 perpetrators to the police for prosecution, including those two knuckleheads on the stand. They've been turned in as well. So there are going to be serious criminal charges, and they've been working this up for a long time. For a long time. So Stephen Unthank is one of my heroes today, and for the rest of the probably the rest of our lives, right? But you can be just as big of a hero. Get in the game here. If you're blogging, if you're posting, if you're talking about this, take a look at this stuff. Take a look at this stuff. It needs to be done, and I want to thank all of you for watching. Like and subscribe. Get in there and do your thing. Continue to do what you're doing. Everything that you're doing counts. Every little tweet, every little news share, every time you tell someone or you call someone, or every time you click like on someone's page, you give them a word of encouragement, or you tell them thanks for posting, or you tell them keep your head up if they're down. Everything you do counts. So there's that. Check out the websites jwsurvivors.wordpress.com. Google what really is the Royal Commission. You're going to find so many interesting things here. In the Wikipedia part here, I wanted to show you something. It says here, let's see, in Australia, and particularly New South Wales, that keeps coming up, Royal Commissions have been investigations into police and government corruption and organized crime using very broad coercive powers of the Royal Commissioner to defeat the protective systems that powerful but corrupt public officials had used to shield themselves from conventional investigation. Alright, so they are chaired by one or more notable figures. Because of their quasi-judicial powers, the commissioners are often retired or serving judges. They usually involve research into an issue, consultations with experts, both within and outside of government, and public consultations as well. The warrant may grant immense investigatory powers, including summoning witnesses under oath, offering indemnity, seizing of documents and other evidence, sometimes including those normally protected, such as classified info, holding hearings in camera if necessary, and in a few cases, compelling all government officials to aid in the execution of the commission. The results of royal commissions are published in reports, often massive, of findings containing policy recommendations. Okay? So, let's see. So what happens is these recommendations are not just on prosecuting the institutions or individuals, but on enacting the recommendations into law, with the government enacting some or all recommendations into law. So these Jehovah's Witnesses sitting on the stand saying, well, if you would only just change the law to make it mandatory in every state, we wouldn't have a problem. We would be reporting. Watch what you wish for. Let's see. The commissioner, okay, so let's move on down here. There was something else. Oh, I think it was back up here. It says here, the commission is created by the head of state, the sovereign, or his or her representative in the form of a governor general or governor, on the advice of the government, and formally appointed by letters patent. In practice, unlike lesser forms of inquiry, once a commission has started, the government cannot stop it. You see that? The government cannot stop it. That's how powerful this is. Consequently, governments are usually very careful about framing the terms of reference and generally include them in a date by which the commission must finish. One more thing I want to show you. If you Google this, Stephen Unthank, General Terms of Reference, Royal Commission, you're going to find some very, very interesting things. Check this out. Stephen Unthank's press release, JW's hierarchy, formally charged today with child abuse. It says here, well, I don't see it on this one, but I did see it. I think it might be this one here. On the JW Survivors page, General, here we go. Well, I don't see it in the back here. But somewhere on this site, I remember reading how Mr. Stephen Unthank, oh, here we go. November 26, 2012. JW Survivors lodged today a submission written and prepared by Stephen Unthank in reply to the Australian government's request for stakeholder consultation for the establishing of the terms of reference for the Child Abuse Royal Commission. Among the 9 recommendations made to the Royal Commission by JW Survivors was that the Royal Commission investigate religious and other organizations in relation to their response to working with children laws as legislated in various jurisdictions across Australia. The submission explained that working with children laws and child safety legislation are the front line of physical and sexual protection for children within the community. So, This man had a hand, a huge hand in establishing a royal commission to investigate religious and other organizations in responses to child sexual abuse. Not just Jehovah's Witnesses, but to have one, period. So, on the 12th of November, 2012, the Prime Minister, Julia Gillard, announced that she will be recommending to the Governor General the establishment of a royal commission into institutional responses to child sexual abuse in Australia. So, this is what this whole video is about. One person can do a lot. And you don't have to be a big shot lawyer. It's good to have them, though. It's good to have them. It's good to be connected to them. And we'll do a video, an upcoming video, where we're going to talk about some of the attorneys. But in the meantime, we've got one more thing I want to show you here. I think it's called Whites in Luxembourg. Yeah. Google Whites in Luxembourg TV commercial Jehovah, and you're going to see, there you go, they've got the ad, you see, and you're going to see some very, very interesting things here. And this is a national TV commercial. It's Aaron Brockovich. Aaron Brockovich, yes. You don't believe me? Check it out. Whites in Luxembourg, Aaron Brockovich. Google that word too, that phrase. And you're going to see it. You're going to see Aaron Brockovich. You see it right here. Aaron Brockovich, an American legal clerk and environmental activist, works as a consultant for Girardi and Keys, New York law firm of Whites in Luxembourg, which has a focus on personal injury. Same people. Okay? And I think they also have a website. Let's see, Jehovah Child Abuse, Whites Luxembourg, Jehovah's Child Abuse. And this is their childsexabuse.org. So this is a website here you can check out.
We've created a place where people can come and tell their story and be believed.
We object to it being exaggerated. We object to being described as the only cab on the rank.
He could have been stopped before he raped me. You know, so many of these people, so much of this crime could have been stopped.
I should have known, and I should have stopped the events which led to the abuse and its tragic consequences for those boys in my care.
I think we all want to do everything we can to ensure that we do not see in the future institutions fail to respond if there are allegations of child abuse in their midst.